Daniel eagerly anticipated his first real camping trip. He had always enjoyed nature, and he believed that spending a few days in the great outdoors would help him unwind from the bustling city life and relieve some stress. He planned to set off for a secluded camping spot deep in the woods, away from the noise and distractions of everyday life. As Daniel arrived at the campground, he marveled at the picturesque surroundings. Towering trees, their leaves rustling in the gentle breeze, formed a natural canopy overhead. The air was filled with the earthy scent of pine and the distant chirping of birds. It was the perfect escape from his busy routine. After setting up his tent near a serene lake, Daniel decided to explore the area. He wandered along a narrow trail that led deeper into the woods. As he ventured further, the familiar sounds of civilization faded away, replaced by the peaceful symphony of nature. He felt a sense of tranquility wash over him, and for the first time in a long while, he felt truly at ease. But as the sun began to set, casting long shadows through the trees, Daniel's sense of calm started to waver. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, as if unseen eyes were peering at him from the darkness. The rustling of leaves and distant hoots of owls made his heart race, and he quickened his pace, eager to return to the safety of his campsite. As he neared his tent, a chill ran down Daniel's spine. The campfire he had carefully prepared earlier was now reduced to smoldering embers. He could have sworn he had left it burning brightly. His unease grew, and he scanned the area, looking for any signs of intrusion. Nothing seemed amiss, but the sense of being watched persisted, intensifying with each passing moment. Uneasy, Daniel retreated into his tent, hoping that the familiar confines would provide some comfort. He zipped up the entrance and tried to calm his racing thoughts. However, the night brought no relief. Strange noises echoed through the woods, unsettling and foreign. Daniel's imagination conjured up all sorts of ominous possibilities, filling his mind with a creeping sense of dread. Exhausted and on edge, Daniel finally succumbed to sleep, though it was fitful and plagued by haunting dreams. Little did he know that this was just the beginning of a terrifying ordeal that would push him to the limits of his sanity. The next morning, as he awoke to the eerie silence of the forest, he had no idea what horrors awaited him in the deep, dark wilderness. As the sun rose over the horizon, Daniel emerged from his tent, feeling the weight of a restless night. He hoped that the daylight would dispel the eerie atmosphere that had plagued him the previous evening. However, the sense of being watched persisted, and an unsettling quiet hung in the air. Determined to regain his composure, Daniel decided to distract himself by going on a hike. He followed a trail that wound deeper into the woods, hoping that the physical exertion would clear his mind. Yet, as he ventured further, the forest seemed to close in around him, the trees standing tall like ancient guardians with secrets to keep. As he trudged along the path, a subtle movement caught Daniel's attention. He turned, his heart pounding, and saw a fleeting shadow disappear behind a tree trunk. It was there one moment and gone the next, leaving him questioning his senses. Doubt and curiosity propelled him forward as he cautiously pursued the mysterious figure. The chase led Daniel deeper into the wilderness, the forest becoming denser and more foreboding. His footsteps echoed in the silence, amplified by his racing heartbeat. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig set his nerves on edge. But he pressed on, driven by an insatiable need to uncover the truth. Suddenly, he stumbled upon a hidden clearing bathed in dappled sunlight. A weathered cabin stood before him, its aged wooden boards creaking with each gust of wind. A sense of foreboding washed over him as he hesitantly approached the decrepit structure. Pushing the door open, Daniel entered the cabin and found himself in a dimly lit room filled with oddities. Shelves lined the walls, displaying an assortment of peculiar artifacts, a collection of worn books, arcane symbols etched into stone tablets, and faded photographs of people long gone. It was a place steeped in mystery, a sanctuary of secrets. As Daniel examined the curious objects, a sudden realization struck him. The feeling of being watched had not been a mere figment of his imagination. The cabin held a hidden presence, a spectral guardian keeping a close eye on anyone who dared to trespass. But what was the purpose of this enigmatic abode? And who was the unseen watcher? Determined to uncover the truth, Daniel delved deeper into the cabin's mysteries. He meticulously studied the books, deciphered the symbols, and pieced together the fragmented history hidden within the faded photographs. Each discovery unveiled a darker layer, leading him down a rabbit hole of forgotten lore and ancient rituals. Days turned into weeks as Daniel unraveled the cabin's secrets, but the more he learned, the more he realized the peril he was in. The presence that had been watching him was not a benign observer, but a malevolent force, awakened by his intrusion. It hungered for his soul, ready to exact a terrible price for the knowledge he sought. As Daniel delved further into the cabin's hidden history, a growing unease gripped his heart. He discovered that the ancient rituals performed there had summoned a malevolent entity, a vengeful spirit that fed on the life force of those who dared to trespass upon its domain. Haunted by this revelation, Daniel became desperate to find a way to protect himself. He studied the rituals meticulously, searching for a countermeasure that could shield him from the wrath of the entity. Night and day merged as he experimented with incantations, symbols, and protective talismans, hoping to devise a defense against the imminent danger that lurked in the shadows. But time was against him. The malevolent spirit grew stronger with each passing day, its hunger intensifying. Strange occurrences plagued Daniel, objects moving on their own, whispers echoing through the cabin, and the feeling of icy breath on the back of his neck. He knew that his time was running out, and the final confrontation loomed ahead. As the moon cast its pale light upon the forest, Daniel prepared himself for the inevitable encounter. Armed with the knowledge he had painstakingly gathered, he entered the cabin one last time, ready to face the entity head-on. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy, and a gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing the lone candle that had provided his only source of light. In the darkness, Daniel chanted the incantation he had discovered, a desperate plea for protection, for salvation. The room filled with an ethereal glow as symbols etched onto the walls shimmered with ancient power. The malevolent entity, sensing its defeat, unleashed a fury of rage and despair. Shadows twisted and contorted, lashing out at Daniel, but he stood his ground, fueled by determination and the will to survive. In a final act of defiance, Daniel cast the protective talisman at the heart of the entity's presence. The room erupted with blinding light as the talisman shattered, releasing a surge of energy that banished the malevolent spirit back into the depths from which it had emerged. Gasping for breath, Daniel emerged from the cabin, battered but triumphant. The once thriving forest now seemed peaceful, as if the malevolence had never existed. The secrets of the cabin remained locked away, but Daniel had paid the price for his curiosity. As he left the cursed place behind, a newfound respect for the power of the unknown settled within him. He had witnessed the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of the world, and he understood the fragile balance between human curiosity and the price it demanded. From that day forward, Daniel would never forget the horrors he encountered in the depths of the woods. The camping trip that was meant to provide respite had become a harrowing journey into the abyss, and as he walked away, forever changed, he knew that he would carry the weight of that experience for the rest of his days. Randall's heart raced as he stepped out of his car, taking in the eerie silence that surrounded the desolate campground. He had planned this solo camping trip to get away from the chaos of everyday life, seeking solace in nature. However, there was something about this place that sent shivers down his spine. Setting up his tent near a dense forest, Randall couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it an unsettling presence. Ignoring his growing unease, he lit a campfire and tried to immerse himself in the tranquility of the night. As darkness enveloped the campground, Randall's attention was drawn to the sound of rustling leaves. He strained his ears, his senses on high alert. The rustling grew louder and closer, making him uneasy. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a disheveled man with wild eyes. Startled, Randall stumbled backward, his heart pounding in his chest. The man approached him, his voice trembling as he spoke. "You shouldn't have come here. This place is cursed. Leave before it's too late." Randall's curiosity piqued, but caution held him back. He hesitated for a moment, then asked, "What do you mean? Why is it cursed?" The man's eyes darted around, as if searching for an unseen threat. "Years ago, a group of campers vanished without a trace. They say the spirits of those lost still haunt these woods, seeking revenge on anyone who dares to camp here." Randall's skepticism warred with the growing dread inside him. "Are you sure this isn't just an urban legend?" The man's voice dropped to a whisper. "I was one of the campers who survived that night. We were tormented by entities we couldn't see, whispers that drove us to madness. The only way to escape was to flee. Some of us made it out, but others." His voice trailed off, and Randall could see the pain and fear etched on the man's face. A chill ran down his spine, and he made a quick decision. "Okay, I'll leave. Thank you for warning me," Randall said, hastily packing up his belongings. As he drove away from the campground, a sense of relief washed over Randall. He was grateful to have heeded the man's warning and avoided a potentially perilous situation. However, little did he know that the true horror had only just begun. Days turned into weeks, and Randall couldn't shake off the haunting memory of the encounter at the cursed campground. The man's words lingered in his mind, and curiosity gnawed at him like a persistent itch. Determined to unravel the truth, he decided to investigate the mysterious disappearances himself. Randall spent hours researching the campground's history, digging through newspaper archives and online forums. The more he learned, the more convinced he became that something sinister lurked within those woods. Armed with a flashlight, a notepad, and a voice recorder, Randall returned to the campground, his heart pounding with a mix of trepidation and anticipation. He set up his campsite once again, this time closer to where the disappearances had occurred. Nightfall arrived, and as darkness swallowed the landscape, Randall switched on his flashlight and ventured into the heart of the forest. The air was heavy with an eerie stillness, broken only by the sound of his footsteps crunching on fallen leaves. He followed the trail that led deeper into the woods, his senses on high alert. Strange whispers seemed to emanate from every direction, sending chills down his spine. Fear and curiosity waged a fierce battle within him, but his determination to uncover the truth pushed him forward. Suddenly, Randall stumbled upon a dilapidated cabin hidden amidst the trees. The sight sent shivers down his spine, but he couldn't resist the urge to explore further. With each step he took, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. Inside the cabin, he found remnants of the missing campers, a torn backpack, a charred journal, and a collection of photographs. The images depicted the happy faces of campers, frozen in time. But as Randall studied them closely, he noticed a subtle distortion, as if an unseen force had tampered with the images. A sudden gust of wind rattled the cabin's windows, causing Randall to jump. He turned to leave, only to find the cabin's door mysteriously locked. Panic surged through him as he realized he was trapped. The whispers grew louder, their words twisted and incomprehensible. Randall's heart pounded in his chest as he searched for a way out. Desperation pushed him to break a window, shards of glass raining down around him. With a burst of adrenaline, he squeezed through the broken frame, his skin grazed and bleeding. As Randall sprinted through the dark forest, he could feel an unseen presence chasing him, a malevolence that threatened to consume him. Branches whipped at his face, but he pushed forward, fear fueling his every step. Just as he thought he couldn't run any longer, Randall burst out of the forest, stumbling into the clearing where his campsite stood. Gasping for breath, he collapsed onto the ground, the moon casting an ethereal glow upon him. As he lay there, battered and bruised, Randall knew he had uncovered a truth that few would believe. The curse of the campground was real, and it hungered for more victims. His harrowing experience would serve as a warning to those who dared to venture into the woods, a cautionary tale of the horrors that awaited in the darkness. Randall's body trembled with a mixture of exhaustion and terror as he lay there, contemplating his next move. The ordeal he had just endured had shaken him to his core, leaving him with more questions than answers. Despite his injuries, Randall's determination to expose the truth burned stronger than ever. He knew that he couldn't let the curse of the campground claim any more unsuspecting victims. Gathering his strength, he dragged himself back to his feet and made his way back to civilization. Over the next few weeks, Randall tirelessly researched the history of the cursed campground. He reached out to local authorities, sharing his harrowing experience and urging them to investigate. But his pleas fell on deaf ears, met with skepticism and dismissal. Refusing to give up, Randall turned to the online community, sharing his story and connecting with others who had encountered similar supernatural phenomena in the area. Together, they formed a support network, pooling their knowledge and resources in an attempt to understand and combat the curse. Armed with their collective research, Randall and his newfound allies launched an awareness campaign, shedding light on the dark secrets of the campground. They shared their stories with the media, urging campers to stay away from the cursed site and pressuring local authorities to take action. Their efforts began to gain traction, capturing the attention of paranormal investigators, journalists, and even some open-minded locals. As pressure mounted, the authorities finally relented, agreeing to conduct a thorough investigation of the cursed campground. Months passed as the investigation unfolded, unearthing unsettling evidence of unexplained phenomena and unmarked graves. The truth behind the disappearances was slowly brought to light, vindicating Randall and his allies. Ultimately, the campground was shut down, its gates chained and locked to keep unsuspecting visitors at bay. The spirits of the lost campers finally found peace as the area was cleansed and consecrated, their tormentors banished for eternity. Randall, forever changed by his haunting experience, dedicated himself to raising awareness about the existence of supernatural phenomena and the importance of respecting the boundaries of nature. His courage and resilience became an inspiration to many, and his story served as a cautionary tale for those who ventured into the unknown. In the end, Randall's relentless pursuit of the truth had not only saved his own life, but had also protected countless others from falling victim to the curse of the campground. The memory of his harrowing journey would forever remind him of the fine line between curiosity and danger, and the enduring power of the human spirit in the face of the unknown.